This episode is brought to you by nerdslant.com. Nerdslant.com is your new trending nerd news source for all things video, blogs, articles, reviews, and even this podcast, and even the new blog accompanying this podcast that you can find on nerdslant.com.
Dana J.
What's poppin', my fellow blurs, nerds, and Wikipedia fact checkers? It's your host, Imani Wilson. I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Bombastic podcast. Now, I know it's literally been a whole season since we last spoke. Meaning, like, figuratively, literally, like, it's fucking cold outside now. So, I just wanted to welcome you guys once again to my crazy world, and most notably, I'd like to say please take this time to go ahead and consider hitting the subscribe button and hitting that notification bell to be updated upon this weekly podcast. You can also check out the full-length version of these podcasts, because it's definitely different from the video editions, to go ahead and hear more about my inner thoughts and machinations on whatever's going on in the world of blurred nerd pop culture and trending news, and my own machinations and my own very special mind. And most notably, I wanted to go ahead and take out this first episode to speak about an event that's very near and dear to my heart and the hearts of thousands who go ahead and attend their annual pilgrimage for nerddom. And of course, I'm speaking about the millions of dollars that go into housing the thousand of souls' joys and anticipations who spend hundreds of not hundreds of years, but hundreds of days, if you will, in a year waiting for 4 days in that 1 year that mean the most to them. And of course, I'm referring to Comic-Con, but in this instance, New York Comic-Con. So my friends and I at NerdSlant, which of course, again, shameless plug, you can check them out as I mentioned earlier before, decided to go ahead and descend upon the madness that was Comic-Con weekend, with the Joker releasing, with the horde of nerds that would then descend upon the Jacob Javits Center for New York, and this lovely 4-day stretch of October, even though it rained like shit the first day. We absolutely made sure to make it our business to follow our convictions, to find the most interesting curio that would sate our desires, to find the panels that would let us know of new releases that we've been looking forward to find guests of the comic, author, anime, movie, and TV variety, and then most importantly, feast our eyes upon the wonderful, twisted, and unexpected creations that you, my fellow nerd brethren, sisterin, and folks in between, decided to come out in full force. So I give you bits and pieces of our journey into what was New York Comic-Con 2019. Roll it! But this shit here, come on. Come, open the fucking... Come on. What the fuck? There we go. After enough practice. Oh, come on. First of all, that should fucking work. Look at the lovely view of nothing. That's a fucking hot tub, which I suppose, who fuck knows. That's where I'll be. Okay. Fuckers get a whole nice little pull out, and then, yeah. Alright, cool. Whoops.
I passed out on the floor of the Nerd Slant suite this weekend, on the floor, and it was amazing. It felt like I was sleeping on like a pillow of like comics and nerddom and like fanboyism, and I know that sounds really weird, but I slept like a baby, and I can't wait to do it again. Nerd Slant, everybody. Everyone should pass out on that floor.
This is it. This is the last day. Yeah. Paul with me, this is it. We covered so much of New York Comic Con 2019, cosplaying. We had random celebrities sleeping on the floor of the hotel. Ming Chen, shout out to Comic Book Men. All right, Shared Universe as well, podcast studio. And I like to think this was successful. I think the con was successful.
I think it was an immense success.
Immense success. Absolutely.
Fantastic success.
Exactly. And we'll be back again for another one. Shout out to the hotel, which absolutely accommodated all our needs. And
the Hotel Yotel, New York City.
And it was absolutely great. And that's all she wrote. That's it. Now, back to the Horde. So, I'd be remiss, obviously, if I didn't say that, first of all, I'd like to go ahead and take this moment to say that I have my overall grade for the con. My grade for the con this year, based on the offerings, is a C+. Now, let me tell you why as brief and succinct as humanly possible. Again, you can get the full-length version of this on audio, whereas upon video, we get an expedited bit so that way you can go about your fucking life. Number one, the Marvel movies, as we know of them right now, were pretty much wrapped up for the year. There is no other film coming out for 2019. Number two, you also have to remember that as far as for TV, ever since the Netflix deal has gone and now Disney Plus has been launched, there are no Marvel TV shows that are even in production yet. There have been no casting, no scripts and such are done, so this just isn't a time that you're going to see anything from the Marvel TV side either. And lastly, on the front of video games, you have to remember, with the exception of the Nintendo Switch, the new consoles are going to be out in less than 12 months. Well, about 12 months from now, a little over, come the holidays of next year. But that's what E3 is for. No way in hell do PlayStation, Sony, or Xbox, Microsoft find themselves speaking about anything about their new projects in October. So literally you're only mentioning about a couple of games, like I saw, a Predator game, Stranger Things mobile game, Iron Man VR, a couple of just like few titles here and there just to make up things, but otherwise nothing really substantial like a Quantum Leap. There was, however, the Marvel Avengers game in conjunction with Square Enix that was there, but considering how much they were in our fucking face saying, hey, you can't take photo or video of this, I can't really give you any sort of like visual representation, with the exception that the fucking game looked like something that came from the PS3 about maybe, I don't know, like 6 or so years ago. I personally want to reserve my judgment until a playable demo is released and everyone gets to see this shit show for themselves, but I can tell you right now, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. But otherwise, I would have to say again, this was a lull over year. I think when it comes to Comic-Con 2020, San Diego Comic-Con 2020, and even E3 2020, that is the marquee year for all things nerd. We'll be entering a new phase in Marvel. We'll be entering a new phase when it comes to TV shows that we can expect for either late 2020 or early 2021. And of course, the next gen consoles will be releasing with, I'm sure, a nice ton of exclusives. So this year was just a holdover year where I would say more than anything, what really carried this year were you, my fellow nerds and cosplayers. You guys are what held this over. And I can tell you going into it, I knew there were a couple of cosplays that I knew were going to be very popular, and some that I was disappointed I didn't see more of. I was disappointed I didn't get to see more of the Umbrella Academy. I figured, hey, school kid outfit, this should be simple. This should be a breeze. You should see a bunch of the Hargreaves out here. Like, why the fuck not? I saw one good Ben Hargreaves, and that was it. I didn't see much else. So that was a disappointment. But what absolutely, I called this shit. I'm sure if I wanted to archive it, but I'm probably not going to go through all the effort. Go through one of my previous podcasts from the last season. I literally said that when Avengers Endgame was released, that the most popular goddamn cosplay that's going to be featured at Comic-Con for the year 2019 was going to be Sad Thor. You motherfuckers came out in so many different variants of Sad Thor. I have a montage for it. I was going to feature it in this video, but I'm going to give it its own video out of proper respect. So please, by all means, at the time of this video's release, I want to say give it the following day, and the Sad Thor montage will be out for all to see and all to witness and experience. So, again, I have to thank you guys once again for coming back and tuning in. I love it. I'm so glad you guys are interested into this weird little world that I continue to live and thrive out of and continue to flesh out. And again, I look forward to being able to continue to experiment within this format, see what works, see what doesn't, continue to try to bring more guests and provide more offerings and make this season a good one. Again, it's getting a little crazier out there. The weather is getting a little more interesting out there, so this is the perfect, I think, companion to keeping your ass in the house and informed on what's happening in nerd news and the world around us all. So, once again, I'm your host, Imani Wilson, and I'd like to thank you for tuning into this podcast. Please take this time to go ahead and consider hitting that subscribe button and also clicking that notification bell and also subscribing to the long-length audio version of this podcast, which you can find everywhere you listen to your podcast. And I'm talking all the big boys. I'm talking iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. At some point I need to get myself back on SoundCloud just so this way I can make sure my reach is to as many people that may appreciate this podcast as possible. And please go ahead and follow me on social media with any updates. My social media is not the most captivating in the world, but it is the most eclectic. It's pretty different. It's pretty different. But again, I'm your host, Imani Wilson, and this has been another Bombastic podcast. Stay nerdy. Peace.